Okay, what is up, my fellow web developers? And in this video, we are going to be learning Bootstrap, and we're going to start creating a project to put on our portfolio. Bootstrap is a powerful CSS framework that allows us to create all this without really having to type out code. The only thing we're going to do is type out the words we want in the code. Put some placeholder text, so if we create a nav bar, there's placeholder text here, we just type in this, type in devskate shop, there's cards, there's these carousels, it's so powerful. And learning this could help you get your next job or your next client. So, I want to point out about Bootstrap before we really get into the video real quick, is that it makes mobile responsiveness easy. So, if we take a look at the website that I've created for this video, I'm going to open up the DevTools, and I'm just going to start, and you can see it, and you can see that it'll automatically start to fit everything into the viewport of the screen, which is very important. This is one of the reasons why it is so powerful, because you don't have to add queries and media queries to your CSS now. So, of course, we would want to do some little things like touch this up, but you don't have to worry about the mobile responsiveness. It is there for you. Let's get started. What we're going to need to do is head over to Bootstrap's website, which is getbootstrap.com. This framework doesn't just come with whatever editor you download. It's not something that's built in. We're going to have to install it ourselves. And I'm using Windows and Visual Code Studio, so I'm going to need this right here. All I'm going to do is copy it, open up my editor in the terminal, and paste. It might take a second, but that's okay. It's taking longer for you than me. All we have to do is pause the video. But while that's downloading, let's come over to the docs, which this will give us our starting code, where we won't have to we won't have to type anything out. It's here for us. It's the second box right here, and again, copy. Come over to your editor and paste it. And two things I want to point out right here is, one, it gives us a script tag at the end, and this link. These right here, what helps us access all the codes that Bootstrap gives us, and so it's way easier just to copy and paste than just start typing it out ourselves. And thanks to this framework like Bootstrap, 90% of the things we're doing are going to be copy and paste. So, for this first part, we're going to want to get this nav bar. Start at the top of the page, get the nav bar, and we'll move our way down. The way we can do that is in the docs, they have a components section, and down right here, we can click navbar, and for the sake of simplicity, let's just use this first one. So you can see right here, copy, and I'm going to delete this hello world, and I'm going to put a comment right here so that way I know it's a nav when I'm looking back at the code. And paste. Cool, save that so it looks a little nicer. And just to show you how simple and fast that Bootstrap can be, we're literally just going to start copying and pasting all these different components I have on here, and we're going to edit after we copy and paste. So the next thing we're going to want is this hero, and I will link where I downloaded this in the description, because this one that I'm using isn't on the Bootstrap website. You can see here there's no hero component, but there is an actual hero component they have. So I downloaded my hero from, or I copied the code, I should say, from MDB, which is Material Design Bootstrap. And all we're going to do is click Show Code, copy, and then another comment, hero right here, and I'm going to paste. So let's save that and look at the next thing we're going to want, which is a card. Normally you'd have to do a good bit of typing, but thanks to this amazing tool that is free and awesome, we're just going to come back to these components, click card, copy, and I'm going to put cards right here. Actually, I'm going to put skate cards. deck cards. A little more specific so I know exactly what it is. I'm going to paste. And we have 4 of these, so I'm just going to paste 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Save it. And I'm going to make these smaller. That way I can actually focus on what I'm doing. And now for the carousel. This is also on the Bootstrap website right here. So again, copy, carousel, under it, paste. Cool. So, another thing I want to point out is once it's done downloading, you're going to get this package lock, and all these node modules. You can just ignore those. They're not important right now, but that's just one way to tell that Bootstrap has been installed. So, that's all saved now, and let's take a look and see what it looks like so far. So, refresh, and here we go. We have these cards. Right here is our carousel. It's kind of hard to see, but you can click on it a little bit and it moves. Doesn't move exactly the way we want. Once we add images, it'll work a lot better. We have our hero, and if we click on these, they just go back to the top. So now that we have these here, Bootstrap doesn't only give us the ability to make these components, but it also gives us the ability to style them. And so if we go to our Bootstrap website and we look at utilities, we have this border, colors, we have all this stuff here, and it's telling us all these classes that we can put onto our elements or components and affect the way they look. They make it very simple, great documentation. Take your time, look at it, and see what all it lets you do. But, of course, we want to make these cards horizontal instead of vertical. So, one of the things Bootstrap does for us is it gives us something called a row. I'm going to wrap all of these cards in this div real quick. Put that up here, save it, drop that down, and just put class equals row. Cool. So if we come back, look, and refresh, now they're all in a row. They're pushed together nice and tight. They're not centered vertically, and I also need to add this text up here, but we'll get to that in a second. So now what we want to do is space these out so they look nice and pretty. One thing you should notice is the images I have used, they aren't the same size, so that's why we have this little gap right here between the bottom of this one and the bottom of these. But the way we can move these around is with the spacing classes that Bootstrap gives us. So before I start adding those real quick, I'm just going to put in H3 in these, and I'm going to say H3, let's say Dex. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in this div where I have row, I'm going to put mx and then 2. And so what that is saying is it's saying margin, x-axis, and we want the spacing to be a spacing of 2, which if you're looking at this right here, you can see they have 0 to 5 and auto, and 2 is a margin of 0.5. They explain it down here. It's really cool, but if we save and refresh, we can start to see a little bit of a difference. So it pushes it out, but we also want some space between the cards themselves. So in the div where the class says card, we're going to start with mx for auto, again, margin, x-axis, auto, and then we're going to do my auto, and that is the margin of the y-axis auto, and we want that on every card. So I'm just going to copy and paste it on each one. Three and feel like there was thought there was a fourth. Yes. Where was it? Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah. So save it, open, and see the difference. Awesome. Now these are centered. They look great. Without this image, you can see that they're even. But what about this text right here? How are we going to center that? 'Cause I don't want to create my own CSS file. Well, you can thank Bootstrap again, because they have a class for text. And we're going to say class equals text center and my5. That way we get some spacing between the hero and these cards for this text. So if we look at it, voila. This looks pretty nice. But what about this carousel right here? Because as you can tell, there's no images and it's broken, but it's also pushed up right against this, and that doesn't look too good. We want a little bit of space to separate. So let's take a look at that real quick. So in our carousel, in this first div where it says slide, I'm going to do mx auto and my5. So we have a good bit of margin at the top. And just so we can see everything a little better, I'm going to add some images to our carousel real quick. I mean, you can already see the little bit of spacing it has here, but it'll make way more sense with images, so let me put those in. Okay, cool. So I have these images here on the carousel now, and you can see if I click right, it goes right. And it's just 3 images, but notice how huge they are, and on this one, you can't see these arrows. So the first thing we are going to do is give this a max size. That way it can't get this big. And we are going to have to create our own CSS sheet for that. But hey, that's easy. So up here in the head, after the Bootstrap link, because we want that to load first, we're going to say link CSS. There's a little cheat for you if you didn't know it. And we're just going to add a CSS file called style.css. It's always great to comment your code, so if you don't touch it for a while, you can see what's going on. Or if someone else is playing with it, they know what's going on. So I'm going to say .carousel size, and I'm just going to give it a max height of 50 rem. But we haven't really called this class anywhere yet, so let's add it. And we're going to want to put this in the images because that is what is so big on this carousel. That is what is affecting the height. So save that real quick, refresh, take a nice little peek, and there we go. Another thing is these buttons. So we are going to add a different color to these buttons. And if you want to see some of the colors they have, again, all you gotta do is go to Utilities, click Color, and you can see right here. I'm going to use this text info one, see how that looks, because blue is going to be a theme in the site if you can't tell. So in our code, we want to find those buttons. And you can see they're right here. This is the previous one, and this is the next one. So the left and the right. So where class is, we are going to put BG primary. This will make it so those stand out. So there we go. Cool. Now you can always see, I'm sure they block out those sleeves a little bit, but we like this big picture right here. Now the last thing we're going to do right here is add a color to this card and put in an image and some text. And the way we can do that is simple. It's as easy as everything else. I'm going to close down this carousel div, open this back up, and add these cards real quick. I want to challenge you to do it yourself and make this card blue and this button gray, or whatever color you want. Make it so the button doesn't blend into the background. Okay, cool. I hope you found the images, and this says but, not by. Let's fix that real quick. Cool. So I hope you found your little images, and I hope you challenge yourself to fill in the background and change this button color. But if you didn't, we can do that together real quick. That's fine. So that blue is a text BG primary. And in the div surrounding this card, right after card, I'm just going to put it right there. And I'm going to do that for every single card so that it gives it that color. And then I'm going to change the color of the button. So let's take a look at those cards real quick and refresh. Now they're all blue. And I already changed the color of the button to gray, but if you didn't, let's look at it real quick. And the way we can do that is just with BTN secondary. Cool, so that is how easy it is to use Bootstrap. I'm going to edit this a little more, and I want to challenge you to finish this homepage. I have 2 more sets of cards and 2 more carousels. They are trucks and wheels, other important components of a skateboard. Make them what you want, have some fun with it, but challenge yourself to do this. And in the next video, we're going to make it so you can click and we'll be able to go to the page of the card. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you have a great day.